Welcome back to All This Math. This is Professor Parker. I got my Jackson State University t-shirt on. We were supporting Jackson State way before Deion got there, and we still supporting him after he left. So at any rate, we're going to do some subtraction with regrouping. 3-digit numbers, 713 minus 575. In case you're not as familiar with this term, regrouping, it's also known as borrowing. All right, some textbooks, some people refer to it as borrowing because we borrow numbers essentially from other place values. So you notice how we're subtracting a 3-digit number from a 3-digit number. So we got 713 minus 575. We have a ones place, we have a tens place, we have a hundreds place, right? So I'm gonna actually do this problem in 2 different ways, right? First, I'm gonna do it with the traditional borrowing or regrouping method, right? So let's do that. But then I'm going to do what's called base 10 expansion. And then I'm also going to still going to subtract with borrowing. But I think when I show it in the base 10 expansion method, it might make a little more sense if it doesn't fully make sense when I do it the traditional, way, like I'm about to do now. So what we do is we start in the ones column, right? In the ones place. So where the 3 and the 5 is, that's the ones place, right? Now, in order to use this method, the top number must be bigger than or equal to the bottom number. You see, we have a 3 and a 5. 3 is less than 5, so it does not meet that criteria. So, in order to make the top number above the 5 bigger than the 5, we're going to borrow from the tens place in 713, the tens place, right? So this is essentially a 10, right? Because it's a 1 in the tens place. So we're going to borrow 10, thus making this 0. Because if we take 10 from 10, we're left with nothing. So that's why this 1 turns into a 0. Because this digit right here tells us how many tens we have in this number, right? So we have 1 10. And if I borrow a 10, that means I have 0 tens now. I had 1 10, now I got 0 tens. I had 1 10, now I got 0 tens. Now what do I do with that? I borrow it and I give it to this 3. So now I got 10 plus 3. 10 plus 3, which gives me 13. So in order to do subtraction with borrowing or regrouping, we got to know how to do addition. We got to know our addition facts as well. So we take the 10 that we borrow from here and give it to the 3. That 3 turns into a 13. All right, put the little 1 up there. Now the 3 became a 13 because I took the 10 from here and I gave it to the 3. So that means I did 10 plus 3, which makes it 13. Now I can subtract because the top number is bigger than the bottom. So now I can do 13 minus 5. So now I still need to know my subtraction facts also. So I need to know that 13 minus 5 is actually 8. So I can do 8 right here, and then I go to the tens place. Now, we run into the same issue. Now, our top number, which is 0, is not bigger than or equal to our bottom number. So what are we going to do? We're going to borrow again, except now we're borrowing from the hundreds place, right? This 7 means we got 7 hundreds, 7 hundreds, right? So if I borrow one of those hundreds from the 7, now this means we got 6, right? We got 6 hundreds. Now what do I do with that 100? I give it to the tens place. Now, how many tens is 100? 10 of them. Just like $10 bills is 10 $10 bills. I mean to say 10 $10 bills is equivalent to 100. So that means we're taking 100 and we breaking it up into tens, right? So we're going to put that with this 0. So now instead of having 0 tens, now we have 10 tens because we took 100 from 700 and 100 is the same thing as 10 tens. So now we got 10 tens in the tens place. So that 0 turns into a 10. The 0 turns into a 10 because we took 100 from 700 and in terms of tens, 100 is the same thing as 10 tens. So now we got 10 on top and 7 on the bottom. Now we can subtract using this method, right? Because otherwise we'd get a negative and we don't want to get negatives using this method. We can get negatives in real life and in subtraction, but using this method, this particular method, we don't want to get negatives. So that's why our top number needs to always be bigger than our bottom number. All right, so 10 minus 7 is going to give us 3. So we're left with 3. All right, and then now over here, this is a 6 and this is a 5. So the 6 is bigger than the 5, which is cool. So now we can just do straight subtraction, 6 minus 5, and we don't need to borrow nothing, but we can anyway because there's nothing to borrow from. There's no number in the thousands place. So we wouldn't be able to do that anyway. So 6, take away 5, gives us 1. So our final answer, or our difference, because the difference is the number you get when you do subtraction, is 138. So the difference between 713 and 575 is 138. Now let's do this one more time, right? Except I'm gonna expand this, right? I'm gonna draw an arrow from here, arrow from here. I'm gonna break this down by place value. So instead of writing 713, I'm gonna write this: 700 plus 10 plus 3. Now just look at that for a moment and recognize how this 713 is the same thing as this. All right. So imagine, think about money, like, right? So you got 7 $100 bills, you got 1 $10 bills, or 1 $10 bill, and you got 3 $1 bills. 710 plus 3. All right, that's $713. We're gonna do the same thing with 575. We break this down into hundreds. We got 500, 7, we got 70, and we got 5. So that's 5 $100 bills, 7 $10 bills, and you could say, well, since we're dealing with the ones place, tens place, hundreds place, I'm not going to treat this like a five, and I'm not going to say this is a $5 bill. I'm not going to treat it like that because we got to follow place value. And this is the ones place. There's no fives place. There's a ones place, tens place, hundreds, thousands, 10,000, and so on. So this is 5 $1 bills. All right. So now what we're going to do is we want to still do the same method. We want to subtract and we want to borrow. 3 is still less than 5. So we're going to borrow from 10, except we're going to take the whole 10. And now that's gone. So now this becomes 13. But now you can just, like, because it's an expanded form, you can basically see much more clearly what we did up here. See, this is all kind of jumbled and crowded, right? That's why I'm an advocate for showing it in this method also. Maybe not instead of, but also in addition to, right? So we borrowed from the 10. We took 10 from the 10, so now it's 0 because the 10 is gone. Gave it to the 3. Now the 3 turned into a 13. Because remember, this was a 3, because that was a 3. So we do 3 plus 10, we get 13. Now we can do 13 minus 5. 13 minus 5 is still 8. All right. Now I can't do 0 minus 70, right, using this method. I can't do 0 minus 70 using this method, because when I use this method, I don't want to get a negative number. And if I do 0 minus 70, I'm going to get negative 70, and I don't want any negatives. So I'm going to borrow from 700. I'm going to take 100 from 700. That's going to turn that into 600. So if I take 100 from 700, give it to 0, now I got 100. You see how this is this is expanded form. So I write the whole number 100 out. I don't just write 10 to show that this represents 10 tens. I write the whole number 100. So now I do 100 take away 70, which is 30, right? And then I do 600 take away 500, which is 100. All right, so now we got 100 plus 30 plus 8, which still gives us 138. So either way, we get 138. All right, so this is the traditional subtraction with borrowing or regrouping, and this is the expanded form or base 10 expansion form subtraction with borrowing or regrouping. All right, so this is, again, subtraction with regrouping, but definitely get some practice. Practice both of these methods, and these are not the only methods of subtraction with 3-digit numbers. There's still other methods that we can use, and I think I may have some other videos on the channel. Please make sure you subscribe to the channel if you're watching this video. Also, hit the like button, and also share this video with as many people as possible, okay? Yeah, so get some practice, create some of your own problems, or find some problems online, or ask your teacher or professor or whomever you can to get some practice, because now you know how to do it, but you got to get some practice so you can master it. All right, go get some practice. I'll see you in the next video. Peace.